Welcome friends, and thanks for joining me. In this video I'm going to be making 3 modifications to the DIY chainsaw milling attachment. When I first started messing around with this chainsaw milling business, I was running a Stihl MS440, which is a relatively medium-sized saw, certainly not big. And that led to quite a number of engine rebuilds because it really wasn't up to the size of cutting or the length of cutting that I was doing with it. Nowadays I use an MS880 and that works really well. I knew when I upgraded to that at some point when the log came along I would need to increase the size of this mill. So that is modification number 1, we're increasing the size of the mill. The really cool thing about this extruded aluminium DIY style mill is you can just switch out the rails for longer ones if you go to a longer bar or upgrade your saw or whatever. The extrusion I'm using is 40mm squared T-slot extrusion. It's perfectly robust for this application and I'll leave a link to where I got it in the description below. And I'm using the Combi miter table saw to cut this down to size. It's with the original blade that came with it. It's a combination blade that works for non-ferrous metals as well as wood, and it does do a fantastic job of creating a clean square cut. Incidentally, I'm partway through doing a video review of that saw, and if you want to see me do the whole hog and take the saw fully apart and really give it a thorough going over, then do let me know in the comments below. This is how the T-slot stuff slides together. It's dead simple, and then the hole you just saw me drill was a clearance hole for this Allen key to fit in, and that just tightens down on that bolt. And once you have it lined up nicely, it really holds it solidly in place. I'm using a bit of medium Loctite on pretty much all the bolts on the mill. So that was mod number 1, and I thought I'd share that just to show you how easy it is to increase the size of the mill in a sort of modular way. I'm currently running a 120cm, that's 47-inch bar, and it's pretty much maxed out by this log here. You can see Hal, my friend, helping me here, and this brings me to mod number 2. I don't normally have help with the chainsaw milling, so I haven't done this yet, but I really do need to make some more provision for safety at the other side of the chainsaw mill. So here's one other change I've just finished welding up. It's just a bent bit of metal with some bodged on angle iron type thing, and that's just going to clamp on there, bolt through there and bolt through there. So you can see I painted it red and now it's being tested. It's pretty damn robust. It should certainly offer some protection if the chain was to snap. I think its main function is always going to be as a warning reminder just to keep fingers away. But really, apart from the start and finish of the cut, there's no reason for anyone to be around that side. So one of the reasons I don't like the clamping on systems the mills have onto the bar, rather than actually drilling the bar, putting a bolt straight through. Apart from the fact that you lose a lot of cutting width because you're having the clamp not right at the nose, but a bit further back. It's not so much of an issue on this big one, but on smaller saws that's a big issue. But it's also the ease with which you can change the chain. So now to change the chain, all I'll need to do is undo these bolts, take this off, take the chain off. Well, you'll see what I do now. Lucky I can get this off without the power head flying all over the place. We'll see. So it really is quite simple, whereas if you had the clamping mechanism you'd need to remove the whole mill from the guide bar before you could change the chain over. This is particularly important if you have a number of chains and switch them out in the field and then grind them properly at home. Another little modification is this little chain guard here. It's just a radiator bracket cut down. Now it's as becoming a skid. What I was finding was this bolt here, which is what attaches the guide bar to the mill itself back there. There's a little washer, you can see where the washer went. That round sort of surface was digging in when it was right at the top of a cut. So this piece here is not going to be contacting the log before the little nut would there, or the bolt head down the bottom, and the bolt head was quite jammy up here. So now with this in place, if anything's going to touch, it's going to be that edge, and hopefully we'll skid along. So this is what we've got after the first usage. It's actually a bit softer than I'd have hoped, and turns out the chain actually pulls the saw into the log quite a lot, so it's bent it. And I've repeatedly, as I was using it, I was bending it back outwards because I was afraid that might snag on the teeth and I'd blunt the chain. So all in all, I think we can assume that's just not strong enough. So looking at it, what I thought was actually this piece here, which used to be the spikes, the log spike grippery thing, it'd be quite nice just to have that made into something similar that stuck out, but obviously didn't have any spikes on, but had a nice curved edge, and I could do away with this, the need for this bolting on here, which would make taking the mill on and off a lot easier, but might be a pain when it came to sawing. So I'm left not quite sure what to do, but anyway, I need to use it again now, so I need to do something about this. At one point I was using this little rollerblade wheel, and that was just, this bolt went through there attached, and that worked quite well on straight pieces of wood. The problem is it's too grippy, so it tends, the bark's there, it tends to sort of walk up the bark, pushing the top of the mill off, or meaning you have to really push down on the mill to keep it properly aligned. As a part-time solution, this should do alright. It's the original washer I had, plus just a metal spacer back there, bolt all the way through. So after those mods, what's cool is I can actually have the capacity to cut in this direction across logs, which gives you these delightful noodly bits of sawdust, and just cuts fantastically well. It's like how the chain would cut if it got to choose how it cut. And these big logs often just end up as firewood because they don't look very long, but even just this is like 1 meter by 1 meter basically, which is a really nice size for a coffee table or something like that. So there's a number more modifications I'd like to make to the Alaskan mill, and the cool thing about this is the T-slot makes it really easy to bolt things on and off, like you saw with the protector at the end of the nose. I would love to hear from you, friends. If you have any modifications you've made or any you can suggest, please do get in touch in the comments, or just to say hello, that's nice too. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.